Welcome to the SaaS AdLab podcast, where we bring to you the stories of SaaS founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. My name is Luis. I'm the founder of Fantôm agency, a digital marketing agency specialized in scaling SaaS companies. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Zack Oates. He is the founder and CEO of Ovation. And Zack Oates is an author, husband, father, entrepreneur, and a hot tub aficionado, but not necessarily in that order, right?
That's correct.
He's gone. This is my favorite part. He's gone on over 1,000 dates before he got married, which is, I don't think a lot of people get to do that.
I know a lot of people spend their money in better ways, but I don't have a nice car, but I have a lot of dates.
Yeah, there you go. So that's super interesting. And on top of that, so you wrote a book about that called Dating Never Works Until It Does. He was also voted top 100 entrepreneur. You got to ring the NASDAQ bell, and you won the world's biggest business competition. Started 2 companies and an international NGO. Received your MBA from BYU, and you did CX customer experience consulting over at PwC for Fortune 100 companies. So obviously, like, super high level stuff. And then now you're currently the founder and CEO over Ovation, which is a relationship enabling platform for restaurants and retailers. And you recently raised $1 million from a bunch of capitalists, essentially, venture capitalists. So that's super awesome. It sounds like really like a super interesting journey, to be part of. And I'm really interested in that whole, you dated 1,000 people. I don't know if you want to talk about that. We're saving it for a different time.
Hey, it's part of the journey, because honestly, that's kind of where Ovation started. Was exactly. as I was going on all these dates, what I realized was it was so hard for me to remember if I liked the restaurant that I went to. But if I didn't like it, if something went wrong and it kind of messed up the date, it was so easy for me to remember the name of the restaurant and to leave a negative review. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to hurt the business. But on the other hand, I want them to know what happened. And so as I started to look into the industry, what I realized was the only thing that there was receipt surveys. And besides, to get a free cookie at Subway, who takes those?
Right.
And online reviews. So receipt surveys, good data for the business. It's hard and inconvenient for the customer.
Yeah.
Online reviews, convenient for the customer, but it really can hurt the business. And so I thought, isn't there a better way? And as I looked online and I saw things like live chat, and I saw that you can pixel and follow happy customers, I thought, well, why doesn't that exist for restaurants, for these brick and mortar businesses? So that's how it all kind of started. And but going on those dates, it was it really had me to quickly learn, how do you build a relationship? How do you get from what's your name to a first date to a second date pretty quickly? And because 1,000 dates is quite that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
so you had to get efficient at it.
Right.
But using those same principles, that's what we do at Ovation. Is we help mechanize and automate the ability to build relationships, because unless you have tools as a business nowadays, you can't it's really hard to build that one-on-one relationship with every single person that walks through your door, right?
Totally. And that's actually because within, my group of close friends, we have an individual that she likes to essentially, she's always on Yelp, right? She's a Yelp elite. She loves giving everyone reviews and stuff like that. And personally, I don't like Yelp that much. I don't know why. There's just something about it I just don't like. So I don't even use that. I never use the app. I'll go on, for example, Google Maps, and just to kind of avoid the whole, IMAP thing with Yelp. So I'll go around it, but essentially, if I'm going to leave a review, it's typically, like you said, it's usually either I really, really like something or I really hate something. And it's typically the latter, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
So
people are actually 3 times more likely to leave a negative review than a positive one.
Right. And so I had a feeling that I wasn't the only, I guess, mean person out there or something like that.
Yeah, right. And it's something that is what I found, what we found at Ovation is that people just want to get it off their chest. They want to know that they're heard. And so that's what we do better than anyone else in the industry, is we help people feel heard, because we've created a tool that is so simple for consumers to give feedback and so easy to manage. So for example, quick use case, right? You walk into a restaurant, let's use Sweeto Burrito, one of our favorite customers. and we're not supposed to, it's like having kids. We're not supposed to have favorites, but I mean, they are one of the hundreds of our favorite customers. And you walk in, you order your burrito, you go sit down while it's being made, and you eat. And while you're sitting there, there's a little table topper, and it says, "Let us know how we did for your chance to win a $100 gift card." So all you got to do is open up your camera, point it at the the QR code, and it opens up into a web app. No download, no login, no account creation,
Mm.
and you give your feedback. If you loved it, we ask you to leave positive reviews. If you didn't, we ask for private feedback while staying compliant with all of the online review policies,
Right.
and that goes directly to management. And then they have an Ovation app on their phone, and so they can easily chat with you. In 3 clicks, they could send you a personalized response, and then all you get is a text message that
Mhm.
will say, "Hey, Louis, so sorry about your experience. This is Zach, the manager here at Zach Shack. I'd love to make it right. Here is a $5 discount." So now you're not blasting to everyone that negative review.
Right.
And as a business, I'm not putting on Yelp, because what happens is if I put on Yelp, "Hey, this person was upset, so I'm going to give them a $5 discount." Well, then people will post negative reviews just to get the discount, right?
Right.
So we're preventing that from happening as well. And that's the thing that people love is, again, it's easy to use, simple to manage.
Right.
And the best part is that now that we have the cell phone number, the name, the satisfaction, we could actually create segments, and we have a text marketing platform that is an intelligent marketing platform. So you can segment your customers, automate messages that go out to them
Mm.
to drive more revenue. And that's what we're trying to hit. That's the bottom line, is we're trying to get to that bottom line
Mm.
to drive revenue.
That's awesome. That sounds like a super. I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think I've been to any restaurant that's using Ovation, but I just from like what you told me right now, like I actually want to kind of experience, the entire thing the way you pictured it, which is I think already says something about the product.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that you don't just have, it's not just about QR codes. We have loyalty program, a satisfaction smiley face kiosk. We have phone numbers that you can text in, stickers. I mean, pizza box toppers. We work with the restaurant to find the best implementation method. And we've worked with so many restaurants
Right.
that no matter if you're fine dining or fast casual or fast food, we know what implementation is going to work for your establishment. So that's one of our unique value propositions. Not only do we have this incredibly simple tool to use, but it works for any location, because we're not tied to one specific method. And I think that's one of the principles that, in addition to being easy to use and simple to manage, another like really guiding principle is making it universal, to give the easiest method of implementation.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times with SaaS products, it can be built with one implementation method,
Yeah.
which only works in one situation.
Right.
But what we've done is we've created something that works in any restaurant and in any retail store.
That's super awesome. That's really, really cool. So as far as building the team, building the company up and everything, how long has Ovation been around for?
2 years.
2 years. Super young still.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And what's been like, are there any like restaurant sizes so far that are looking for the solution, or how are you looking, how are you reaching out to new restaurants or retailers or whatever? What
Yeah.
I'm saying?
So we hit up the trade show circuit. We go to like the big shows, the small shows. So we try to hit up a lot of trade shows, and then also, we buy leads to email and call, and basically like share what Ovation does. And our whole goal is to let the product sell itself. I mean, what we found is that if somebody signs up for a paid pilot, they become a customer.
Hmm.
That has happened every single time.
Right.
Um, and so for us, our whole goal is, we don't want to sit there and have some long sales process. What we want to do
Totally.
is be like, "Hey, look, just try it out in one of your 30, 50, 100 locations,
Hmm.
and let the product sell itself."
Hmm.
Because we could sit here and pitch you all day, but end of the,
Unless you try it, you won't really know.
exactly. And
Cool.
so, sure, we have case studies that show that our text marketing campaigns get 5%, or sorry, 5 times higher redemption rates.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have data and white papers that show that you are 18 times more likely to win a customer back with Ovation than if you respond to a negative review online. And sure, we could prove to them that they're going to get 16 times more data than a receipt survey, but all of that is just like numbers on a page.
Right.
Um, until they actually use it and they see the lift in their own locations.
Where is it, what markets are currently like the most, I guess, served?
So LA and the Utah, like central Utah market are probably our biggest hotspots, because we're in Utah. And so a lot of people will call us up, will see us in other restaurants. We'll say, hey, I saw you in that restaurant. I want you in mine. Um, and then LA, there's just a huge food scene there. We also
Oh,
have quite a
yeah.
bit in Chicago. But all in all, we're in about 30 different states right now.
Mm, cool.
And we're in Australia and Canada.
That's awesome.
Um, so we're growing, baby.
Are there any in Arizona?
Yes, we do have some in Arizona. We've got some a couple of cafes, Tucanos, um, and we're working on a few others that are in the works right now.
Cool. I'll have to check them out. I'll talk to you after that.
Okay,
After the
absolutely.
show. But cool. What is, like, if you could have any client, and maybe just like a size and like an industry, not necessarily like name any sort of names if you don't want to, but who would you like want to like just sign up right now?
Anyone with 10 to 100 locations that are fast casual,
Mhm.
with forward thinking leadership, they are our prime target, especially if they're already doing things like email marketing, um, because text marketing is just so much more effective.
Yeah.
And we could take all the good, uh, we can have that be successful in the text realm. So we know it works. But like I said, in that like 10 to 100 range of fast casual,
Mhm.
we crush it. I mean, every time, universally, we know that that works, because it just has happened time and time and time again. And but then also the casual full service, that we work really really well in those restaurants as
Mhm.
well, with the table topper and the server kind of prompting them, hey, take one question, let us know how we did, you could actually win a
Yeah.
$100 gift card. Or one of our great case studies, what they do is everyone who takes a survey, they give them a $5 coupon to be used on their next visit
So
when
they
they spend $10 or more, right? So everyone's a winner, but
right.
then it also guarantees them business.
Totally.
And they set the coupon so that people normally spend $8 in a single sitting, but now they're going to spend 10, 11, 12
Yeah.
and give away $5. So they're actually making about the same amount of revenue, even though they're giving out $5, but they're increasing the likelihood of them coming back by 2 to 3 times. So it just, our whole goal, like I said, is to make that a no-brainer. And it's not, and the revenue side of it is where they can say, yeah, like I get the value here. But the other side of it, the whole side that kind of sparked this, was that communication, was building that relationship
Yeah.
between the
Right.
customer and the person. And here's an example. One of our other favorite customers, they were so a customer wrote them in some feedback and said, "Hey, I've been coming here for like the last year, and it seems like lately your portion sizes have been getting smaller. Also, I would really appreciate some vegan options." And he was like, okay, the vegan options I get. And so he wrote her back saying, hey, thank you so much for the vegan options. We've actually been thinking about that. And now they're using her as someone that they can, chat with to see what type of vegan options would they like.
Right.
But when she said that the portion sizes were getting smaller, he was like, that's weird. So he called the location and found out that they were using the wrong size scoop for serving out chicken.
Uh,
And so, it's a fast casual, like, they're making pitas. And so they actually had gotten smaller on their portions, but not on purpose. And so he was able to fix that operational issue. He wrote her back again saying, hey, I'm so sorry. This is what happened. And by the way, here's a $10 gift card on the house.
mhm.
She was blown away. This customer was just so happy that he would not only take the time to do that, but that she was able to help in
Right.
solve this operational issue, that she is like, I'm a customer for life. And without Ovation, all that would have been is a loyal
Negative.
customer that would have been lost or a negative review.
Totally. And it's so true too, right? And like software, this is like, because part of the product in this case actually ends up being, the human on the other side, which is an interesting, kind of model, even if it wasn't meant to be that way in the beginning, but that's what it kind of seems like when you have
Yeah.
this kind of interaction happen. But it's 100% true, right? When you're building a purely a SaaS product and you want feedback from people, or like you're just first starting out and you decide to give like a lifetime deal or something like that, those early adopters end up, becoming part of the team, and they feel rewarded when they're able to help you solve an
Contribute.
issue or something like
Exactly.
that.
Yep.
So
That's
that's super
exactly
awesome.
right.
And at the end of the day, like you said, like it's obviously about bottom line always, but on top of that, it's directly correlated, right? But you have happy customers, you're increasing the lifetime value of those people, that it's just going to be, I guess like just like a compounding effect, the more of those that you have.
Exactly. Because if you think about it, every negative review is going to lose you on average 30 customers.
Mhm.
And not to mention the fact that a customer, lifetime value of the customer could be, say it's, $5,000, and this is their second experience. Well, not only are you losing 30 customers times 5,000, but you're losing the other
Yeah.
4,000 whatever of that customer lifetime value. So you have to look at it in terms of, there's a soft ROI and there's a hard ROI.
Mm.
There's a money in the bank of, here's the value that we brought you in terms of like, here's your lift, and then here's the value that's a little bit softer, right? It's like the perceived value that's created from
Right.
saving a customer, intercepting a negative review, and getting more positive reviews. But at the end of the day, reviews are becoming commoditized.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the SaaS tools to generate more reviews, it's like, it's a commodity nowadays. It's an add-on that's almost like required. And
Yeah.
so while we started off as a review platform, we have shifted to a relationship platform, because that's something that has staying power, that's something that's stickier, and that's something that as we found, it really drives what matters. And
Totally.
something, as far as what matters, one thing that I've really learned is customer feedback is critical, asterisks, because customer feedback is critical when it's from the right customers, right? So one of the things that we did early on was we bootstrapped the business, right? We bootstrapped it, and then we got it to a point that we're like, okay, we want some investment, some help. And so we went and uh, sorry, I just got an email from one of my investors. I put my phone behind the computer. So what was I saying? I get to
You you
I
you were building it bootstrapped, and then you were
Oh, there
looking
we go.
for
There we
help.
go. So we were looking for help. So we went to 500 startups. We got into that program. It was crazy that we got in. 2,000 companies applied. 20 got accepted. We were one of the 20.
Awesome.
And then we went out there and we raised more money. But because the early days were bootstrapped, that meant that we were going after these smaller companies.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we were getting this product feedback, it was all geared towards these 1-2 location deals. The problem is, of these 1-2 location deals, those also had the highest rate of churn.
Mm-hmm.
The deals that were 4 and more, 4 to 20, 30, 40, 50 locations, those deals were sticking and they loved it.
Yeah.
And so we were asking everyone for their feedback, but we had so many of these smaller deals that's where we were focusing a lot of our product. And so we've had to shift to get a few of the voices of the right customers. And that's something that I think is a great lesson that we've learned in this last year. It's not just getting customer feedback, it's getting
Right.
the right customer feedback.
And I don't think a lot of people think about that, to be honest, right? Like, I never thought of it before. To like, obviously everyone thinks about getting customer feedback. That's great, but like you said, if it's not from the right person, then it means nothing.
Right. And it's just like, the receipt surveys that restaurants get. You're going to have a very few number of people who are very, very vocal about very bizarre things. And if you're just getting 1 to 2 of these surveys a week or a month, you know, that's going to give you very skewed data, and that's not representative of an entire population. Whereas what we're trying to do is get the entire population to give a little bit of feedback, as opposed to getting a couple of people to give a lot of feedback, which is what receipt surveys typically do.
Totally, totally. Super cool. Now, when building Ovation, what's been like the hardest thing about it?
You know, I'll tell you about one of the hardest moments. And this is, we're going to get real personal here. But
Love it.
so I was, we were about to, we hadn't yet gotten into 500 startups. We were kind of at this point of how are we going to grow? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? I quit my 6-figure job to do this, and my wife got pregnant.
Mhm.
And as I was, you know, we were working out of my basement, things were getting like really tight. We had like 4 people there, so like living room was filled. My, you know, I already had a daughter at the time, so which I still do. Her room was a call center. A back room was a call center. Even the bathroom was getting used
Uh-huh.
for dials, and so it was like very cramped, very stressful. And um, I come home one day, and my wife comes home from her doctor's appointment, and turns out that the doctor couldn't find a heartbeat. And she was just finished up her first trimester, and so we lost the baby.
Oh wow.
And that was like, it was just like such a blow. It was so hard to hear that. But then
Mhm.
as soon as she told me, you know, we like sat down, we prayed, we cried, and then I had to go, you know, to go meet with a prospect. So I drove down the street, and it was a 1-location
God.
deal. And as I'm driving down, I'm like, oh man, this is just like so tough. Like, all right, I got to put on my game face and like close this deal. Maybe that'll, like, you know, it'll help, right?
Mhm.
So we get to the location, and the guy stands me up.
Oh
He's
my
not
God.
even there. And so as I'm driving home, I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm the CEO of this company. I've just left this huge job. We just lost a baby. I'm getting stood up by a 1-location deal.
Mhm.
And as I'm like going through all of this, bam, I get into a car crash.
Oh no.
And so at this point, I'm just like, you know what? This is crazy. We're gonna
Yeah.
have all these hospital bills. Now we have a car, you know, repair, and then the cops show up to like write a report. And icing on the cake, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, here's your ticket for reckless driving. And so I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't have like great health insurance. I have all these bills now, and like, what am I doing?
Right.
And it was at that moment that I realized that my passion in life is to truly build value. And if that really is my passion,
Mhm.
then I need to keep going through.
Mhm.
And I need to take this through to as far as I possibly can. And I came back and I told my wife that, hey, let's do it. We got this. We could get through it. And so we picked ourselves up. We bought ourselves a cookie. We actually bought ourselves a cruise to kind of like, hey, we're gonna be spending all this money. Let's buy a cruise too. Um, and like I said, we cried a little bit more. We prayed
Yeah.
some more, and that's what helped us get us through. But that was a really defining moment for, am I gonna take this to the end? Am I gonna really
Right.
go for this? And the answer was yes, and we haven't turned back since.
Good. Good. That's a wild story. That sounds like a super difficult day
Yeah,
to just kind of
no
like,
good, very bad day.
right, like just everything hits you all at once. That's crazy. Um, but
But
it's
we
it's
made it through, and that's
right,
and that's what's important.
right. It's eye opening at the same time. Like, like maybe that was what was needed almost.
Yeah, there's this great verse in the Bible, and it says, um, "Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better."
Hmm.
And that's in Ecclesiastes. And I just love that concept that at times being sad is a good thing,
Yeah.
right? It cleanses you, and you can refocus, regroup, and that's something that I've always that I've really appreciated, is just that ability to not be so afraid of being sad,
Mhm.
but at times you got to embrace it
Yeah.
and use that to propel you to that next level.
Totally. That's I think more people should have that kind of outlook, you know, like embracing just being present in the moment and mindful of, you know, the things that are actually happening now and what could happen eventually just from that moment.
Absolutely.
But a lot of it said. Now, what is the single most important thing that you're currently working on at Ovation?
We are working on going upstream. So we're focusing all of our efforts on going after larger customers, and because not only do we have, you know, value that no one else can
Right.
provide for them, but they stick around and they can weather a rough month or two, or a, you know, a boiler being replaced or something like that. So that's what we're going after.
Awesome. That's awesome. And I would say I usually say to get more personal with a couple more questions, but you already got pretty personal. But if you could, or not if you could, but like, what's one thing that you're not really good at?
Just one thing.
Like if you could pick the thing that you're worst at, what is that?
I would say I am worst at letting people down or letting people go.
Mhm.
At times in a startup, you have to make tough decisions to let people go. And I tend to really take it on me that they haven't been successful because I haven't done something. And so that's something that I need to work on, is getting better at setting clearer expectations of this is success, this is not. If you aren't able to do this, we're going to have to part ways. So that way, when it comes down to it, it's not like, well, but that's something that I need to get better at, and something that I really struggle with.
Totally. And what is a SaaS company that you look up to aside from Ovation?
You know, one of our there's a company by a guy, Brandon Rodman, called Weave,
Mhm.
and the product, the strategy, the culture, his leadership, his passion. He is someone that I look up to as a SaaS leader.
Mhm.
And if Ovation can be like Weave, you know, nothing but good things ahead. I really, really look up to that company and to him as a CEO.
Uh-huh. Awesome, awesome. And if you could go back to 2 years ago when you first started Ovation, what would you tell yourself with what you know now?
I would tell myself to get more connections upstream. I feel like I was too concerned about the financials of like, I need to show growth this month, that I didn't take a step back and say, okay, but I knew that we wanted to go upstream eventually, but how do we get there? And the way that we get there is we take a little bit of a hit by building relationships upstream now, so that we can create a product that would go upstream better, faster.
How
So,
would you go about doing that?
so in terms of like these trade shows, I would focus more on how do I build relationships with industry experts as opposed to working on closing deals and getting more leads,
Hmm.
because I was so focused on just, you know, it's the first of the month, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta build, 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 build. That's good, but what that did was we were focusing on the wrong customer segment that would result in exponential growth.
Right.
And so at times you have to slow the growth to run the tests to to get to where you need to, not in a month but in 6 months.
Totally gotcha. Cool, cool. And do you have a favorite book?
So The Power of Starting Something Stupid. Um, that was by Richie Norton, also a hero of mine. The
Mhm.
Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey, and then one of the How Will You Measure Your Life is by Clayton Christensen, is a phenomenal book.
Okay.
Okay, but wait, one more favorite book, right? I got a lot of favorites,
Yeah.
but here's like my outside of like scripture, my favorite book is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay.
If you have not read that book,
Uh,
oh my goodness, like, stop whatever book you're reading and read Man's Search for Meaning. It's captivating, it's beautiful, it's soul expanding. It
mhm.
is just such a phenomenal book. So Those would be my top 4.
Awesome. I'll have to check them out, and I'll check out that last one. I'll buy it right after this. And
Okay.
second to last question, where can people find you online, Zach?
LinkedIn, Zack Oates, Zack with a CK, Oates with an ES, or they can feel free to email me, Zack@ovationup.com.
Awesome, awesome. And last question, where? No, I already asked that. Do you have any questions for me?
Dude, what's your dream?
I just want to like provide massive value to people, like really help them out, grow their companies. Like growing a company, it's something that I had experience with really early on. When I was in high school, I started a clothing company, and I just used like what I had, right? I was working at Subway at the time. I was making like 600, I had like $600 in the savings. I put it all into like clothes that I didn't know anyone would buy. And I just started like marketing it on social media, grew the company eventually. And then I made a pivot that kind of just messed everything up. So sales dropped. And then after that, I realized, like it was a pivot in the same brand that was going to like a completely different audience. So like nobody that already knew about the company really cared about what I was doing anymore, which was fine, right? A lot of learning lessons and stuff like that. But what I really enjoyed was the whole thing of actually like putting everything together, building the company, building the team behind it, and just seeing that entire journey. And now really like, seeing people in the SaaS space now, just seeing, how people work with each other, the ecosystem as a whole, very entrepreneurial, and just really working with people that are like-minded and just being able to help them, grow through what I do best.
Dude, I love that, man. That building value and building others in the process. That's there's few things that bring more joy than helping someone out,
Totally.
and love that. Awesome. Well, hey, if there's anything I could do to help you build that value and get that dream, man, I'm here, brother.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Zach, so much for being on here. It was really a pleasure speaking with you, learning a lot more about yourself, about your company, and all of the good things that are coming your way. So appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.